The alternatives to bankruptcy. I have this discussion with clients all the time. There are clients sometimes that cannot file bankruptcy for a multitude of reasons. One could be that emotionally they just can't file it. Two, they may not be legally entitled to file it. They have already filed a bankruptcy petition 2 or 3 years ago and they can't file again. Or simply they just make too much money, where they would be paying back 70, 80, 90% of their debt in a bankruptcy. So they look for an alternative. The alternative to a bankruptcy would be what's commonly called a debt settlement, where you would go to your creditors and you would settle the debt that you owe them. And we've been very successful in representing clients that either can't do the bankruptcy, don't want to do the bankruptcy, and they go on to some type of a debt settlement program. Commonly, how a debt settlement program would work is that a client will make a monthly payment, a certain amount of money that we determine, that the client and I will determine, that will go into an escrow account where we will hold on to their money for them. And we will then, after a period of time, we will then go and settle that debt for the client. We always prepare the client to settle their debt for 50 cents on the dollar. That's half of the money. We've been very successful in settling cases and settling debt for 10 cents on the dollar, 20 cents on the dollar. So we try to prepare for the worst, and the worst, in our opinion, is, from our experience, is 50 cents on the dollar. There are debt settlement companies out there that are bombarding the internet and television and radio, where they're claiming to settle debts for 5 cents on the dollar, 10 cents on the dollar. I'd be very, very skeptical, and I would urge people not to use some type of a debt settlement company. There are a couple of reasons why. One reason why is that most of these companies are out of state. You're going to be paying money every month to a company that's in Southern California or that's in Florida. You don't know who these people are, where they're from. It's some post office box in Hollywood Boulevard. I would urge people not to do that, because if there's ever a problem, how are you going to go and get your money back? How are you going to go and chase these people around? You're going to have to hire a lawyer out in Los Angeles or Florida, and it's just going to create more and more issues that you don't necessarily need going through this financial trouble that you're faced with. The other disadvantage is the fees. They charge an exorbitant amount of fees. Some companies I've heard are charging 15, 20, 30% of the total debt, which adds up to a lot of money. Several other disadvantages. One, they're not lawyers. They do not have a fiduciary obligation to a client. Fiduciary obligation is a very high obligation where the attorney is required to look out for the best interests of the client no matter what. A debt settlement company in California does not have that type of a fiduciary obligation. A lawyer does have that. Furthermore, these debt settlement companies are not going to defend you if you were to be sued by some of your creditors. So not only are they going to charge you 30% or 20% of the total debt as a fee, but then they're going to tell you that, did you read the fine print? Because now you're going to have to go and hire a lawyer locally to defend you against this lawsuit that a credit card company has filed against you. They do not protect you. Also, they are not bankruptcy lawyers. They're not bankruptcy people. They are debt settlement people. What our law firm has done is that we have sort of looked at all of these circumstances, and we've come up with a tremendous plan for people. And what we can do is our law firm will defend you on any local cases if you were to be sued. We will also, if we can, we will transition you from a debt settlement program to a bankruptcy if the circumstances provide for that. We'll defend you in court. We will file a bankruptcy for you if we have to. And you can come and knock on our door. If there's an issue, if there's a problem, if you need to speak to us, if it's an urgent matter, you can come and literally knock on our door. I think that that's very, very important.